as a leader? Well, it's challenging, right? Sometimes you're not exactly sure how the conversation is going to go. Is it going to end in a very friendly way? Is it going to end in a contentious way? Sometimes you just don't know. However, what? If I was able to tell you that there is a way for you to know how the conversation is going to go. The first thing I want to mention to you is that there's a mistake, a common mistake that people make as leaders when it comes to having those difficult conversations. And I'm going to talk about that mistake today so I can make sure that you do not make this mistake as a leader, because this mistake will cost your executive presence. This mistake will cost you a productive conversation, and this mistake will haunt you for the rest of your life, depending on what you decide to do as a leader. So you don't want to make this mistake. Once you are able to grasp this, you will automatically put yourself in a category of an exceptional leader, which is the reason why you are hopefully subscribed to the channel. Now, I want to preface this by saying that leadership is challenging. Leadership is very challenging. And there's times as women in leadership where we are put in situations that we didn't expect to be dealing with that particular day. How many of you in the comments below have ever been in a situation, leadership-wise, that you just simply did not expect to happen that day? I'm going to put my hand up because that happened to me all the time, every day. It felt like it almost every day when you'd have those challenges that come up. So when you are having a difficult conversation with someone and you have already planned out what you're going to say and etc., I'm going to share with you the number one mistake that people make. And I'm going to go into it in a bit more detail as people start to join the live. So the number one mistake that people make, leaders make when they're having difficult conversations, is to not observe the person they are speaking with. You may be wondering, well, what about what we say and how we say it and all those other things I talk about on my channel? Those things are very important. They're critically important. And you want to definitely take note. There's so many videos I have on my channel now. There's a lot that are specifically focused on under pressure and challenges that can come up as leaders. So this is something you definitely want to check out on my channel. But I want to share with you why not observing the person you're speaking with in a conversation can really be a big mistake. Now, I do want to say hello to every one of you that has joined. Welcome, welcome. Glad you're spending a few moments out of your day with me today. If you are wanting to learn the number one mistake that leaders make when they are having difficult conversations, then this is the place you want to be tonight. Feel free to like this video if you like this content so far and subscribe to the channel. If you have not already joined, what are you waiting for? If you are really ready to elevate yourself as a career, as a leader, an exceptional person, a woman in leadership, then this is a place for you to be. I'm going to say hello to everyone that is joining. And if you can, just list where you are joining from today in this beautiful world. And then I'm going to share with you over 20 years worth of experience and knowledge on mistakes that I don't want you to make when you're having a difficult conversation as a leader. All right, so we're going to go ahead and start. Become unique. Hello, hello, welcome. God that comments. Hello, hello, welcome, welcome. I have Clemine, I'm sorry if I did not say it correctly, but Clarville, I believe. Hello, welcome, welcome. I appreciate that. And let's see, where are we at? 500 milligrams to bounce. Okay, hello, hello, welcome, welcome. Please let me know what part of the world you're in today. And let's see if we have some comments to start, and then I'll go into the mistake that leaders make. So guy that comment says, I don't like positions of authority, but I have no choice but to lead. That is exactly what I started at the very beginning of this video with, a guy that comments, because oftentimes as leaders, we are put in situations that we have to do it. Like, we have to be leaders. We have to go through it. So I want to make sure that you all are not making this mistake that people make a lot of times when they're having those difficult conversations. Okay, so we have guy that comments is from Los Angeles. Okay, 500 milligrams. Is from also Los Angeles. Well, hello, welcome, welcome. I'd like to see you all from California. Okay, so I appreciate you all being here. If you have questions specific as it relates to leadership or this topic in general, managing and having difficult conversations as a leader, learn from my over 20 years of experience as a C-suite executive, a manager, a director, a public speaker, and an executive coach that will automatically fast track you on your career. All right, so what I like to start with is that most of the time when you're having a difficult conversation as a leader, we come in prepared. We come in prepared. There's a certain things we got to say. Somebody did something incorrectly, or maybe there's something that needs to be done in a different way. And we, in our mind, already have planned out what we're going to say. And so this is what your normal leaders will do. Normal leaders will say, okay, this is what I got to talk about. I got to write all this stuff down because we're probably going to do a disciplinary action or whatever the case may be. However, when they get into the conversation with the employee, team member, coworker, or whoever it is that they are leading, they typically will be just completely focused on what they have to say, only on what they have to say. Sometimes they may listen to the employees and sometimes they don't. It just depends on the manager and what level they're at. But this is the mistake that a lot of leaders make when they're having difficult conversations. And that mistake is to not observe the person you are speaking with. Now, you may be wondering, as I mentioned before, what does this have to do with a difficult conversation? Isn't how you say things important? Isn't how the way you say it important? Isn't using pauses important? Yes, all of those things that I talk about on my channel, for those of you who are new, I talk about advanced skills in terms of how you can communicate at a higher level than your peers. And yes, all of those things are important. But if you do not take the time, okay, I'm sorry, my audio went out for just a second. I'm sorry about that, everybody. Okay, so thank you all for joining back. I appreciate you. So as I was saying a few moments ago, if you don't take the time to observe the person you are speaking with, you will miss out on very subtle cues in terms of what they are thinking. I mentioned this in a video before. A person's body language will tell you what they are not willing to say. So let me give you an example. I was in a conversation with two people, and there was a dispute between both of them. And during the conversation, we started having a conversation about the problem, the issue, what the issue was. And guess what happened? I just took a moment and paused and observed while people were talking. That's another tip I want to share with you. Observe people while they are speaking. So they may be speaking to somebody else. Sorry, I'm not sure what's going on with my audio today. So just make sure that you're taking a few moments to pause and to watch what they're doing. I want to tell you the conversation I had became very, very, very contentious to the point where while the other person who was defending themselves, the second party was popping a pin top, like pop, 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 literally, while the person was speaking. So as a leader, when you see things like that, you have to take it seriously. Either this person is very, very nervous, or this situation could escalate really fast. And so it's so important because a lot of people make these mistakes. As leaders, sometimes you're really worried about those contentious conversations, like, oh, I don't know how this is going to go. But if you observe, then you can readjust and direct your responses accordingly based on what's being said. You still have to say what you need to say as a leader, but you may need to readjust it depending on if you feel like the conversation is going to escalate or not. Now, before I go into this more, I want to take a look at the comments. Thank you, guys. That comments, we're back. Yes, I don't know what happened to my audio and my video. I'm sorry about that. So guy that comments mentioned that leading by example is hard, but hard to contest. That is such a really good point, and I appreciate you bringing that up because when people see you as a leader, they see you as a leader. And so to go more into the conversation that I had with the situation I was sharing with you, the person that was under fire, I would say, made the comment that, this person was being disrespectful, not being rude. And this individual happened to be a leader in the particular organization. So you're right. When you are in those situations where you have to lead by example, it is very difficult to do. You have to do and conduct yourself in a way that is different than everybody else. And one of the things that happens a lot of times to leaders when they have those contentious conversations that come up is that our emotions will get involved, especially if someone says something about us. We can sit there and write out and plan out what we're going to say with our team member. This is how we're going to say it. This is what they're going to sign and etc. But what happens when that person says something about you? directly. I didn't like the way you did this, and I don't think this is fair. I feel like I'm being attacked. You may be wondering, how do I know all of this? I've been doing this for 20 years as a manager and a C-suite executive. So I know what those friendly conversations can look like and what those contentious conversations can look like too. So a lot of times we can come across as being very emotional, especially when we're caught off guard and we're like, wow, why did this person say that I attacked them? Why did they say that I was being mean to them when I was not? I was just leading them as a leader. It happens all the time. So do what you can when it is hard, like Guy That Comment said, do what you can to be that person that doesn't respond. This is something that people struggle with, and I talk about a lot on my channel, is developing those executive level communication skills so that you can be able to set yourself apart as a leader. Now, when you have a situation that comes up like this in a difficult conversation and someone is accusatory of you, like you've done something, you've done mean things, you attack them, you bully them, or whatever the case may be, and they're telling you that directly, do your best to get your poker face. You need the poker face in this case. And if you don't know what the poker face looks like, you need to practice it. And I know that sounds silly, but I talked to my audience about this specifically. There's different types of smiles you have to have. If you want to learn more, then there's several videos I talk about that as it relates to body language. But when you have those contentious situations, you need to practice your game face. And that game face should be a straight face. It doesn't need to have a smile on it. It needs to just be a straight face, but a very neutral look with your eyebrows. Because you can have a straight face and look like this, and that gives it away. So you don't want to do that as a leader. You want to set yourself and lead by example, like Guy That Comments mentioned. You want to lead by example. It can be hard when somebody's accusing you of something, but I want to share with you that you can absolutely do it. And when you have those challenging conversations, don't run away from them. Go into them and have them, because those challenging conversations, every single one you have, will help you to become this level of a leader. It will help you to become the next level of leader and the next level, until you get to that point where you are way above my phone. You will elevate yourself when you have those difficult conversations. Another thing leaders tend to do, I know this is a bit off topic, but I know another thing leaders tend to do is that they're sometimes hesitant about those difficult conversations because they don't know how to handle them if somebody argues back or says something else. You have your leaders that are seasoned that can say, okay, you can argue back with me, but we're still going to have a focused conversation, and this is the issue, and this is how we're going to move forward. Or you may be that leader that is not ready for those contentious situations, and you may say, okay, I'm so sorry, and then your whole difficult conversation goes into the direction it doesn't need to go, because ultimately there's a reason you're having a difficult conversation. So you want to stay focused, and it takes a lot of practice. This is one of the reasons why I talk about leading under pressure, how to respond under pressure on my channel. This is important. A lot of people don't talk about this. A lot of times on YouTube, you'll hear people talk about a lot of theories and a lot of fluff. And I talk about real life scenarios, real situations that will actually happen, not what could potentially happen one day when it's raining outside or if there's a rainbow outside. No, I'm going to share with you exactly what will actually happen sometimes in leadership conversations. Alrighty, so let's see. Guy That Comment said that, yes, contest to, yes, absolutely, that can happen sometimes. And that Guy That Comment said, I'm Captain Jack Sparrow type of leader. Okay, exactly. I understand. All right, understand. Absolutely. So yes, got to be good at faking. That way people take the bait. Yes, that's a really good point, Guy That Comments, because this is a secret too. And I know we're going deeper into this conversation, but this is really critically important. What he mentioned is very, very important, because this is a tip. This is another advanced level strategy I'm sharing with you. You have that person who you're having a difficult conversation. This person has went on defense, on complete defense. I don't like this. I don't like that. If you respond back to them with the same level of energy as emotional, defensive, argumentative, okay, I do not know what's going on with my internet here today, but nonetheless, I believe it's back. Yes. So what I was saying is that if you respond to that person in a way where you are being argumentative, being defensive, and you are showing your emotions, you are basically feeding into that person's energy, and you are validating what that person is saying. However, if you are able to keep that straight face, that poker face, that very executive face, as I would say it, then you are showing that person that what you are saying that is contentious, that is argumentative, that is highly emotional, is not impacting me the least little bit. And oftentimes people initially, they'll get their frustration out. They'll complain, they'll get mad, and they'll make faces at you and all of this. But when they see that you are not giving in to them and you're not responding the way that they want you to respond, they have to pretty much check themselves, because they say, well, I'm telling her this, or I'm telling him that, and they're just staring at me. I feel like I'm wasting my time. So you want to be mindful of that also. Keeping that face is very important, and you do have to practice the different types of looks you need to have as a leader. I know a lot of people don't talk about that here on YouTube, but you're hearing it exclusively here on my channel, because these are things that people don't talk about as it relates to leadership. They don't tell you that you need to practice the type of faces that you have, because the more you practice, the more you can be able to control your facial expressions when you're having those very, very difficult conversations. And honestly, difficult conversations, they can trigger you depending on what's said and what happens. I personally have had difficult conversations where people have said, oh, that's not being fair. I feel like I'm being attacked. Why are y'all saying this? I've had them. I've had a whole lot of them. And I've had to learn to keep myself straight face, but still be not emotional and just listen to what they have to say. And observing is key. I will tell you, I was in a situation many, many years ago where I had one of those scenarios, very contentious, which I personally didn't think it was going to be contentious as it was. I came into the meeting like, we're going to have a conversation as a traditional manager or executive at the time. I came into the conversation thinking that, okay, we're going to have a discussion about this and talk about it, and we're going to go about our ways. It didn't end up that way. This situation ended up going from 0 to 1,000 in about 5 seconds. And so I was not anticipating that. And so the one thing that I learned from this conversation, because it was very contentious to the point where personally I felt threatened. That's how contentious it was. I felt physically threatened by what was being said by this person. And so one of the things that I learned from that experience is that you have to pay attention to people's body language to determine where is this going to go. Now, most of us will go into our manager meetings thinking that, okay, things are fine. I'm just going to talk to them about this situation and we're going to move on with our day. But you always have to keep in mind what happens if this conversation escalates. So I'll give you one more tip before I go back into the comments. You need to have a plan in place. I know you may think like, oh my gosh, she's being overly dramatic. No, I'm not. We are in a different day and age right now, my friends, and you have to really plan ahead in case something goes south really quickly, because you never know what people are going through, and sometimes you just don't know what is that last straw for them. And so when you have difficult conversations that you anticipate that could potentially be contentious, you need to have a plan in place. So as a leader, you want to make sure you're communicating with trusted people in your teams, that you're going to have a conversation with a particular person around about this time, if you don't mind just to stick around. Another thing I'd mention is don't have difficult conversations by yourself. That's another thing I'd mention also. And then also making sure that you have somebody with you when you're having the difficult conversation, because legally, if something ends up happening, at least there is a witness that's there that can be present for you. But have some type of plan in place when you plan on having those difficult conversations, because you just never know. And I'm not over exaggerating. I've been in those situations, as I just mentioned, where I felt physically threatened because of the conversation I was having. And I wasn't having it was a difficult conversation, but it was a corrective conversation. Someone did something wrong and I had to talk to them about it because I was the leader, but it ended up in a very contentious way. It resolved itself, but there was a point in time where I was a bit concerned. I was really, really, really concerned. And this is why I share this information on my channel, because these are the conversations, these are the scenarios that people are not talking about on YouTube as it relates to leadership. I'm here to share with you real things that happen in leadership, real world scenarios, real world challenges that happens, and I go through them as much as I can on my live channel. So let me go in the comments and see what else is being said. Okay, guy that comments mentioned ambush conversations. Absolutely. And you're right. Guy that comments mentioned something else too. Said gotta be sweet to gotta be good at sweet talking to de-escalate. Very good point. So how now this will factor into the things that I talk about heavily on my channel in terms of tone of voice, how you're saying things, and etc. Because this will help you to de-escalate situations also. So we talked about observing. This is the one mistake leaders make a lot of times when they are trying to have those difficult conversations, is to not observe what the person is doing. You need to see, what are their hands doing? What are their eyes doing? What are they doing to show you what they are really thinking? And so if you see somebody frowning, pursing their lips and making faces, then you're right, guy that comments. You do have to calm your voice down. You should always be calm anyways, but you want to put your voice in such a way to where it pretty much softens the mood. And I like to do this personally. I like to at least mention something that this person has done right. You don't want to always make the person feel like they're doing something wrong all the time. They're probably doing something right, hopefully. If they're not, then find something that is positive about them, something nice to lighten the mood so that you are not coming across as being just that manager that's just like thumb down on someone and giving them a hard time all the time. So yes, speaking very sweet is a great way, and speaking in a kind voice is a great way to de-escalate the situation also. Now, I want to know from you, have any of you been in some very contentious situations like I have been? I'm sure you have. I know many of you are going to watch this on the replay today, and this is a great video for us to have a really good discussion with. I want to learn from you. What are you experiencing? What are some videos you want to learn more about, or topics you want to learn more about? I will record a video just for you. I did this yesterday for one of my subscribers that had a question specifically as it relates to salary negotiation tips. So if you put something in the comments that you want to learn more about, I will do a live just for you, or I will do a recorded video just for you, depending on the actual question you have and how much detail I think that it needs. I do want to tell you all that I appreciate you so much for being with me this evening and sharing with me your thoughts and insights in terms of this topic. This is such an important topic that people really do struggle with. And this is the number one mistake that leaders make when they're having difficult conversations. So for those of you who have just joined, welcome, welcome. The number one mistake that leaders make during difficult conversations is to not observe the other person. This is so important. This observation that you do will tell you what you need to say, how you need to say it, when you need to say it, based on how their body language is responding to what you are saying. Oftentimes, a person's body language, especially their facial expressions, will tell you what they do not want you to know. So pay attention very closely when you're having those difficult conversations. Watch the replay. This is a great time to watch the replay. Like this video if you like the content. Subscribe to the channel if you feel like this is a good home for you. I am here live very often, so much that we have been able to get some traction from YouTube. So for those of you who do not know, I've been invited to be a member of YouTube's live streamer research panel because I've been doing so many lives. So this is the place to be, and there's a lot of input I'll be able to give to YouTube and hopefully structure how they do things on their platform as it relates to live streaming in the future. So really appreciate you all for being supportive and being here with me on the journey. We've done a lot of lives together, that's for sure. So appreciate you, and want to make sure that I'm providing you with any other insight value. I'm here. I'll do a live for you. I'll talk about it and just make sure that everyone is in a good place. So I appreciate you all for being here. Feel free to share this video to another colleague of yours that is going through something as a leader or that wants to elevate themselves as a woman in leadership. I appreciate you all so much. In the next video, sometime this week, I'll share with you the 6 most important steps you need to have as a leader. So I'm looking forward to seeing you all soon. Bye for now.